My name is Peter Rudland, and I'd like to take up about 10 minutes of your time to tell you about my pain journey. So, where to start? Firstly, I was in the Australian Defence Force for 28 years. The majority of that I spent in special operations, and I was very lucky to have been deployed to some really amazing places, and a couple not so amazing. On the 21st of June 2010, I was involved in a helicopter crash in Afghanistan that claimed the lives of 3 Australian soldiers and 1 American soldier. That crash also left me with multiple musculoskeletal injuries. I'll go through a few of the injuries. So I end up with breaks to 3 places on my face, my arm, most of my ribs on the right side were broken. All of my lumbar and thoracic was broken in multiple locations. I'm fused between L2 to L4. I broke the pelvis on the right side, my right leg, my left kneecap, a bit of damage to my liver and my kidney. I had a frontal lobe bleed, and also I had my rifle in between my leg, and the rifle embedded into my leg on impact. So I sustained quite a significant muscular deficit on the right leg. So this was sort of the beginning of my pain journey, learning to deal with those injuries and go through the rehabilitation from the extent of that. I suppose a little bit of background with that. So when I sustained the injury, so when the crash happened, I didn't actually remember anything of it. I woke up in a bed in Germany to a body that seemed really foreign to me. It was a little bit smaller than I remembered it. There was a big hole in my right leg, and I wasn't really able to move comfortably. In some cases I wasn't able to move any limbs at all. So I suppose the weird sort of thing, just to sort of put you in a picture with it, is so I was in my room in Tarin in Afghanistan, and I was preparing to deliver my portion of the orders group for the up-and-coming mission. Well, I wasn't. I was really taking a bit of time out, and I was watching Zombieland, and one of the guys come to my room, and I pressed pause on the computer to talk to him. And he came in, he started talking, he was talking about the mission. And I was busy trying to kick him out because I needed to finish orders, but also wanted to watch the rest of the movie. So I kicked him out of my room, and I pressed play. And as I pressed play, I woke up in Germany. It was instantaneous. There was no time lag. I even felt physically okay when I woke up. It sort of went downhill from there. But it was so crazy. It was instantaneous. It was like blinking. I was in TK in Tarin. Next minute I was in Germany. So I don't remember going to, I don't remember finishing the movie and going to orders, going to dinner, going to bed, waking up, boarding a chopper, being involved in the crash, or even the transportation to Germany. I have subsequently remembered bits and pieces of all of that over the years, but at the time I had nothing. So, I woke up in a bed in Afghanistan, looking around, completely confused. It made no sense at all. Just with a blink, I woke up in another country, and I just had no idea where I was or what was going on. The nurses come and they spoke to me, and they told me that I'd been in a helicopter crash and I'd sustained multiple injuries, which I was, starting to understand. Just by looking at my body and everything, I knew there was something drastically wrong. But I really struggled to accept that I'd been in a crash because I couldn't remember it. And all I had to show for it now was just lots and lots of pain. So anyway, that was really the start of my rehabilitation there, trying to understand, suffering a brain injury, with the frontal lobe bleed, and then the injuries themselves, trying to wrap my head around where I was, what moment in time, what was the pathway forward for me. I was really concerned about just ending up in a mental institution with not being able to control the brain injury side of things. Because I was quite violent in many ways, lashing out at everything because not understanding. But that pain was just making me more and more angry as that became more significant around that time. I was really lucky to have a fantastic nurse who really went out of her way to administer any pain relief that I needed. But it was getting to the stage that even laying on a bed caused me discomfort. Just to have my back up against a sheet that might have had a fold in it, I could feel that line. Or if there was any of the bandages on my back, if they had a little fold or a lump in them, I could feel that, and it was excruciating. And it just was there every second of every day, and it never went away. So as I started to understand that I had to have surgeries to get better, that was a fact of life. I then had to understand how to cope with the pain that I had against the surgeries, so I could move forward that progression. I had surgeries in Germany, then went to Australia. When I got back to Australia, I was put into ICU in Sydney at Westmead, where I had further operations. At this stage, the brain injury was slowly starting to get better, but it was still very relevant. It still controlled a lot of the things that I did, and trying to have an understanding of time and space, because I never slept, and when I did sleep, it felt like it was literally a second, and I woke up again. So my grip to reality was failing, I suppose, in many ways, but the pain, because it was always there, kept making things so much worse. It didn't give me that ability. It was relentless. It never let up on me. So it made me more and more confused. After a while, the pain sort of died down, and the defence got a pain doctor in to come and talk to me about different strategies that I could use with the pain, and different procedures that I could have to minimise that. One of the great things was that the people who come to see me had a great holistic knowledge of pain, and provided more than one option. And I think it was very tailored to the injuries that I had, and it was a very educated point of view. So with that, we looked at the surgeries I had to have. We looked at what I could do in rehabilitation to improve those areas, to minimise, look in the lead up to surgeries and the lead up to certain rehabilitation, so I wouldn't flare other areas and that. But most importantly, they taught me how to deal with my pain. How to place it in my mind, what relevance to give it. And it was just such a great holistic knowledge. It was such a great holistic educated knowledge. I found that everybody wanted to give me advice back in those days. Everybody knew everything. And what you really had to do was stop listening to people and listen to professionals in their fields. I would never have thought, with the pain that I have, that I would go on to, compete in the Invictus Games, become, a gold medalist in cycling. Later this year, I'm attempting my first Ironman, which is what I was going to do before the crash, and that's what I was training towards. So now I'm going to get that opportunity to do that as an adaptive athlete, but I'll still get to do an Ironman, and I would never have thought that possible.